Look at your forearm. A chimpanzee has hair. A gorilla has hair. An orangutan has hair. You have skin. Fine little hairs cover your body, but from any useful distance you are almost naked. Put a human beside any other primate, and the difference is so stark it almost feels wrong, as if one of them has been stripped. That one is us. For almost every mammal on Earth, fur is standard equipment. It traps heat, protects skin, sheds rain, blocks sunlight, and keeps an animal from scraping itself raw. Lose that coat, and you inherit a serious problem. Evolution does not do that lightly. Yet our lineage did exactly that. Somewhere in deep time, one branch of apes gave up the normal mammalian uniform and stepped into the world exposed. That did not just change how we looked. It changed how we moved, where we could go, when we could hunt, and how much we depended on fire and clothing to survive. Human nakedness is not a cosmetic detail. It is one of the central events in the making of our species. So why did it happen? Start with the world our ancestors entered. Between about 7 and 5 million years ago, Africa was changing. Forests were not an endless stable backdrop for ape evolution. Climate shifted. Woodlands broke apart. Open habitats spread. The ancestors of chimpanzees stayed more tightly tied to forest life. Our ancestors moved deeper into a harsher mosaic of trees, scrub, and open ground where shade was unreliable, distances were longer, and the sun became a daily physical force. That environment punished one thing above all else: overheating. Humans are unusual primates because we are built for endurance. We can keep moving in heat that forces other mammals to slow down or retreat. We can walk for hours. We can run for long stretches. We can stay active in the hottest part of the day. That ability did not come from bravery. It came from thermodynamics. Fur is excellent insulation. That is exactly the problem when your muscles are producing constant heat under an African sun. The more active a furry animal becomes, the more dangerous that insulation gets. A chimpanzee can explode into motion. A human can keep going. The key innovation was sweating. Humans are covered in eccrine sweat glands by the millions. These glands pump water onto the skin, and as that water evaporates, it pulls heat away from the body. It is an astonishing cooling system. It turned the human body into a biological radiator. But it only works well if air can move freely over the skin. Thick fur traps moisture. It slows evaporation. It turns a cooling system into a wet blanket. If you want a primate that can travel long distances and stay active in punishing heat, fur has to go. As our ancestors became committed bipeds, they reduced the amount of direct midday sun hitting the body compared with a four-legged animal. Stand upright and the shoulders and head take the brunt, while the torso presents less surface area to the sky. The body also sits higher above the scorching ground, where airflow is better. Bipedalism and sweating work together. Hairlessness completes the system. Once that system was in place, it unlocked a new way of living. Anthropologists call it persistence hunting. A human does not need to outrun an antelope in one burst. A human can force it into a race of body temperatures. In midday heat, many quadrupeds have to stop and pant to cool themselves. Panting and galloping interfere with each other. They can run, or they can cool efficiently, but doing both at once is difficult. Humans can run and sweat at the same time. Step after step, mile after mile, the prey overheats, slows down, and finally collapses. What defeats it is not speed. It is the sun, used like a weapon. That kind of hunting is impossible for a shaggy ape. This is why human skin is not simply bare by accident. We did not become smooth like dolphins or elephants. We kept a reduced coat of tiny body hairs, enough to help sweat spread across the skin and evaporate efficiently. Human skin is not unfinished fur. It is a specialized cooling surface. There is another clue sitting right on top of your head. We lost most body hair, yet we kept scalp hair. That seems backward until you remember where the sun hits hardest. A naked body can cool itself. A naked skull with an overheating brain is a disaster. Scalp hair acts like a shade roof. It reduces solar heat gain while still allowing the rest of the body to dump heat through sweat. The same basic logic explains why hair remains in places like the armpits and groin. There it reduces friction and helps manage skin-on-skin contact where bodies move the most. This was not random patchiness. It was redesign. But overheating was not the only reason hair became a liability. Strip away fur under equatorial sunlight, and the body takes a direct hit from ultraviolet radiation. Fur had been a shield. Once that shield was reduced, skin had to change. Evolution answered with pigment. Dark skin evolved as protection. Melanin absorbs ultraviolet radiation and protects deeper tissues. That is why the earliest hairless humans in Africa were dark-skinned. Later, as some populations moved into regions with weaker UV, skin lightened to balance protection with vitamin D production. The geography of human skin color begins with a body that lost its fur. So the chain is clear. Open country favored efficient cooling. Efficient cooling favored sweating. Sweating favored reduced fur. Reduced fur favored dark skin. That sequence explains a remarkable amount. And the story did not end with temperature. Parasites thrive in fur. Ticks do, fleas do, lice do, mites do. Dense hair gives them shelter, breeding space, and cover from being removed. Remove most of that habitat and life gets harder for the creatures that bite you, drain your blood, weaken your young, and spread disease. Less fur meant fewer places for enemies to hide. Hairlessness also changed social life. Other primates groom with hands and endless patience because fur makes constant inspection possible. Grooming is not just hygiene. It is trust, alliance, affection, and peacekeeping. Humans lost most of the physical surface that made traditional grooming so central. One influential idea is that speech and other forms of vocal bonding eventually took over some of that social work, helping human groups stay connected at a much larger scale. Then there is the cost of being naked after sunset. Hairless bodies lose heat quickly when the sun drops, when rain arrives, or when the wind rises. A naked ape in cold weather is a vulnerable ape. That vulnerability shaped the next chapter of human history because fur had to be replaced somehow. Humans replaced it culturally instead of biologically. First came fire. Fire gave a hairless primate warmth after dark, protection during cold snaps, and access to environments that bare skin alone could never tolerate. Then came shelters, then bedding, then wrapped hides, then sewn clothing, then woven fibers. Other mammals wear their climate control from birth. Humans manufacture it. That necessity changed everything. Once you survive by externalizing protection into technology, evolution no longer has to solve every problem with anatomy. A heavier winter coat is unnecessary if your group can make cloaks, build windbreaks, and keep a fire alive. One ecological zone is not a prison if clothing and shelter let you move. A hairless body paired with culture became one of the most flexible designs on Earth. This is easy to miss because we are used to it. Humans are not simply less hairy than apes. Humans are experts at living outside their natural envelope. A chimpanzee without its coat faces an immediate crisis. A human without clothing can make clothing. A human without shelter can build shelter. A human without a protective body covering can skin another animal and wear it. We did not defeat fur by growing better fur. We defeated it by inventing substitutes. And those substitutes opened the planet. Human groups spread into deserts, mountains, temperate forests, and eventually Ice Age Eurasia while carrying portable microclimates on their backs. In a very real sense, losing fur helped turn intelligence from an advantage into a requirement. A few other theories have been proposed over the years, including the old semi-aquatic idea. They fail for the same reason. The body already gives the answer. Human hair loss matches a terrestrial primate shaped by heat, movement, sweat, and open country life. Other forces, from parasites to mate choice, added pressure in the same direction. Heat management drove the change. The body tells the story clearly. We have extraordinary sweating capacity. We have reduced body fur. We have dark skin as the original protective condition. We have upright posture that lowers solar exposure and improves cooling. We have endurance abilities unmatched by other primates. We have retained hair exactly where it still performs critical functions. Every piece fits the same design. Humans became the hairless ape because hair was in the way of becoming human. And the old design never disappeared completely. Goosebumps still ripple across bare skin because tiny muscles are trying to raise a coat we no longer have. Body hair still grows in patterns inherited from our primate past. Babies develop fine lanugo hair in the womb, a ghost of an older body plan. We are not cleanly separated from our ancestors. We are modified apes, still carrying the marks of what we used to be. That makes our nakedness even more extraordinary. Evolution does not strip a mammal down unless the payoff is enormous. In our case, it was enormous. Losing fur let us dump heat. It let us chase prey through noon sunlight. It let us range farther across punishing landscapes. It let us protect ourselves with pigment. It pushed us toward fire, clothing, and a way of surviving that depended less on what the body was born with and more on what the mind could build. So if you want the shortest answer, here it is. Look at your forearm again. That bare skin is actually why your ancestors kept running when the rest of the world had to stop.